So welcome to September, spring in Australia. It's almost fall in the US, isn't it, Fred? When's that? That's about a week away, a week or so away.
About the 22nd, 21st, 22nd, yes.
Yep. So you're going to start getting cooler, although that's not happening, but we're going to thankfully start warming up, which is always good. Yeah. Well, you can't complain, Kat. You're in Perth. So
yeah, I know.
It's us southeastern states. We're the ones that need to be. We're doing the whoop whoop. Anyway, good to be here. Wonderful to have Gemma with us. Oh, look, I love a small group. And hello, Carol, you're here. And Paula's here. So, here we are, September. So let's just go around. Why don't we just, because we've got a small group, I think we can go around and everyone can give us a little bit of an update where they're at and share anything they want to share, any thoughts, any insights, any lessons, any questions. So why don't we do that? I think we will. Anyone want to start? Anyone feel courageous and want to jump in? Or do I have to nominate?
Well, I might jump in.
Good on you, Christina.
Because
hip, hip, tally-ho, skip up a lip and all that sort of rock.
Yes, tally-ho and all of that. And my thoughts were, remember when we had the session with Monica, is it Rosenfeld?
Yep.
And she was making the point that when you launch your book, you need to see if there's anything out there that you can somehow link in with, because it's helpful for the media people. They're always looking for those stories, and you might be able to connect your book. And I'm sorry, I haven't finished my book because so much of it was about the Blitz, and they were showing a lot of footage about the Queen in the Blitz because she was a Girl Guide and she drove an ambulance and, she did all those things that were going on. And I thought, it's a bit distant, but if I was ready, that could be just a small little hook that would help to launch the book. So
I think so. I think that's a great idea, Carol. Christina?
I wish I was done, but I'm not. So there you go.
But that's good.
But it's
all now. I mean, this is all new stuff. I mean, potentially with the Queen now, obviously her passing in the news, and it's going to be there for a while, I would imagine. So you've got some opportunities there.
I think so.
Good on you.
But they talked about her Blitz attitude and the Blitz thinking. Now, I know so many people who do not even know what the Blitz was, including my doctor. What's the Blitz, he says.
I don't know.
And
I don't really.
No, you wouldn't know. No, that's right. But it was a war in London being bombed for a couple of months, and children were evacuated and people lost their lives, and it changed everybody's life. And the attitude was keep calm and carry on. And the government said, don't complain. Everyone's got troubles. Just keep it to yourself, stiff up a lip, and all of that tally-ho the fox that we laugh about. And that was the attitude. So it was about being stoic and strong. And I can recognise that. And I recognised it in the Queen too.
Yeah.
So that was Blitz.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's pros and cons to that kind of attitude, isn't there? I mean, the stiff up a lip and carry on and tough it out and don't complain. Maybe
don't say anything.
But it doesn't augur for a healthy human, that's for sure.
No, that's right. Came back and bit her in the bum.
Anyway. All right. Well, that's good. That's great, Christina.
I'm out.
So well done. Keep going. You'll get there. You'll absolutely get there. Who wants to go next and give us an update? Carol. Hello.
Hi, Andrew. How are you? Hello, everyone. And Christina, I was listening intently to your stories about the Blitz, and I can tell you a little story later about the Blitz and its impact on my mum in 1940, and the birth of my twin brothers was brought about by the fact that they were under attack by a sniper during the Blitz and they were fleeing from London. But that's another story.
Story for a book.
Brought that to mind. Yeah,
a lot of stories.
Yeah,
wow.
It's all content.
Yeah, indeed. I'll put that aside for another book. But today I'm really excited to let you know that the book is out.
Wow.
Oh,
Well done.
hold that up.
That's awesome.
This
Crown of
is
Wisdom.
a fantasy fiction written for my grandchildren, starring my grandchildren. And it is officially published on the 25th of this month, but only the other day I got my stash of author copies, and I'm ready to hit the road now with author talks. So
Awesome.
another exciting part of my journey. So I just
Well done.
share it with you today.
Tell us a bit about it. Carol, tell us a bit about the book.
Oh, sure. It was written some years, well, the beginning of it was written some years ago, and then I brought it into the current pandemic situation in 2020 and thought about how the virus, the pandemic, might affect young protagonists in my story. And it's all about how they inherit a house in the cloud, from their grandmother, and how they have to find the portals to reach the house so that they can find the secret passages in the house and find their way to many places in either the past or the future to find the crown of wisdom. And this, of course, is all fiction, and it involves a little bit of genealogy, which is my passion, and it also includes a lot of magic, and the girls have special powers so they can leap through portals. And of course, they have enemies who are plotting against them so that they don't have it all their own way. And they must find the secret portals, and they have to find the answers to the questions. And in the background is the advice from their grandmother, which is done through flashbacks, and in the house there is a living will which they can listen to with all their advice from the grandmother. And the book that she has left for them is called Her Book of Shadows, which is a grimoire, and it's hidden somewhere, so they have to go and find it, and they have to do certain things in order to find the answer to how to get in to find the grimoire. So it's for the say 12 to 16-year-old age group.
Oh.
And as my reviewer says, it's a fun-filled adventure of youth and purpose that will reach the hearts of young readers everywhere.
That's wonderful. Good on you, Carol.
That
Awesome.
sounds
Has anyone want to ask Carol any questions about a book? About the process, about the publishing, about anything? Because we may as well. She's here. She's hot.
Go ahead.
I have a question. How long did it take you?
Well, actually, it's a good question, because I tell people that the bulk of it was accomplished in 30 days. And I did that through the NaNoWriMo, which is the National Novel Writing Month event held every year, and it's international, free. And I had the ideas and all scraps and pieces of the story, but I pulled together the 50,000 words during that November period, and then over the next year, polished it, reviewed it, and got brave enough to send it to a publisher. The beginnings of it started years ago in 2014, so there are prequels to the story. So this is why this particular one is called Book 3 in the Ari Chronicles. Books 1 and 2 were already there, and they're sitting on my blog.
Wow.
Okay, awesome.
Wow.
Who is the publisher?
I've gone with the Shoreline Publishing House, Melbourne-based, and they have a hybrid type of publishing system, which is cross between self-publishing and traditional, but it is less costly than traditional publishing.
Can I ask how much you had to pay as the co-pay?
Yeah, around about $5,000.
Really?
Yeah, so it was achievable.
Right. And that's the cheapest, was it? 5,000?
I don't know, because it was the first one I sent it to and the first one I chose. And I thought, I'm just going to go with this. This is ideal for me.
There's Paula, there's lots of different alternatives and options out there from range self. So we'll get Gemma to comment shortly. because she's now published 3, which is exciting. But yeah, there's all sorts of options, Paula, from you paying for everything to you paying nothing. So, and everything in between. Just got to go with what's right, and Carol obviously did. So that's wonderful, Carol.
That's
well done.
great, Carol. Congrats.
Awesome.
Thank you. And
Congratulations,
I
yes.
to this group and
Now, Kat, did you have a question? You had your hand up.
I actually wanted to ask about the publishing journey, but Carol answered it. She applied to someone, they said yes, she was happy, they went. So that was, it answered my question. Thank you.
That's pretty much the process. Awesome. Well, that's awesome news, Carol. Well done. Okay. Who would like, Jen, we might get you. We haven't seen you for a long time, so it's so good to see your face. Tell us what's been going on.
Well, I guess for me, hi everyone again. So for me, yeah, it's been a bit of a weird period of time. I did go a little dark over the sort of last year. My mum passed away at the end of last year. And so it was a bit of a rough period creatively and generally in life. In every
way.
Yeah, in every way. So my mum was very much the cornerstone of our family. So it was definitely a bit of an adjustment to go from the 4 of us to the 3 of us. And so, yeah. So this year's been a bit of an odd one because it's been filled with really positive things and really hard things. But yeah, my last book came out at the sort of end of last year. So I've been a bit slow on the sort of marketing side of things, but overall I had a good readership already in place because it's the 3rd book in a series of 3. So it was, I guess, fortunately for me, there was already people waiting for that book to come out. So it did make it a little nicer to have an audience already ready to pick it up and work along that. But yeah, so for me, yeah, that was probably the 3rd book was my slowest to get written simply because we were going through, family trials and tribulations with my mum's cancer. But it was definitely, I think, interestingly enough, because I wanted to get it finished before she passed so she could read it. It's probably my most well-written book of my 3. My process has definitely gotten stronger and I've gotten more into my own, I guess, voice with each book that's come out. So that's been definitely a good, I guess, good feeling to know that you're getting your own sort of style, your own voice and being able to convey the story that you want. So I write fantasy fiction. So that's definitely my genre of passion. And I am currently starting, I've been starting on a new book and a new series at the moment. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's nice to sort of, I've been very stop-start with it, but it is nice to sort of pick up and start to let life settle a little bit and find my own rhythms again and pull through that. But I also did a first this week. I had my first online author Q&A, which was, quite daunting being the host of it versus being someone joining in on something. So that was really quite good. I got some really great questions, learned a little bit more from that. So I'll probably do another one in the future and tweak from my experience.
Tell us a bit about that, Jem. Because I think there'd be some people interested to know how you ran that and what you did. Tell us a bit about that.
Sure. So I set it up so that I went through Eventbrite. So that's the best platform, I think, to sort of put an event on and connect that through. So enable me to put a cap on the number of participants in the setup, a few things like that. The actual process online, so actually running it, I used Zoom. I had a co-host, which was my sister, so someone who could help prompt me if I was going a little AWOL, who could help direct questions as needed. So that was definitely, I think, I would definitely say it's a super useful thing when you're trying to balance the presentation, the talking, the answering the questions, to have someone as an extra support if you can. So just someone you trust who can be comfortable in the setting itself. so with that, so I did a little bit of an overview of who I was, gave a few little excerpts of readings from the books so people could understand a little bit my process, how I draw my inspiration, and then had a pretty open format with questions so people could put them either in chat or just ask them directly. And so there was different points throughout the presentation where I had to retain my thought process as well as switching to answering the questions. That was a challenge, and I probably will tweak that a little bit because I think I was probably a little too open with the accessibility of the questioning and the time I did it. So I'll probably change that up a little bit so that I can give different avenues at points where I'll say, hey, we're going to break some questions from the first section, then we'll have some questions from the second section. So I had just a PowerPoint presentation with some pictures and some key points to reference. But then the questions, you never know which direction they're going to go in. And so did I allow questions sent in advance? No, I didn't even think to do that. So it was very much a live sort of put them in the chat, ask what you want. There were people that had read the books, and there were people that had been planning to read the books and who were just getting themselves settled to do that. So it was definitely interesting to see the types of questions they would ask versus the people who had read them versus the people who hadn't. So it actually was quite varied in that respect. But it's certainly something that I probably, with the questioning, I might open that up in the future. It's also one of those things that I've kept a chat record of all the questions that were asked. So it's actually something I can then start to put into answers in the future, because I think that that's super useful, because if someone's actually asked a really unique question, and one of them actually was, because my books are about, this series is about gods and mortals, and within that process, one of the questions was asked to me was, if I could give any person in the world one of the powers of the gods, what would it be and who would I give it to? And so I thought, well, that's a fascinating question, because no one had ever asked me that before, but it is also something that I'm now going to just keep that little nugget there and use it at a different point in time, either at a presentation or a talk. So yeah, awesome. Definitely very useful in that respect.
A couple of questions. I mean, it sounds like the target for this was readers of your book or people that had your book and were planning to read it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your goal? What did you want to get out of running this kind of author? Because a lot of these people have already bought your book, correct?
Yep. Yeah, some had, some
hadn't.
hadn't.
What's the goal? Is it just to add value? Is it just to build relationships?
Yeah, a little bit of both. So to add value, because it is certainly one of those things that I find that the way people ask questions often informs the way you approach your next book or your next writing. Sometimes some of the, when you're doing, I think, different marketing aspects, it's very easy to fall into the habit of doing the same thing over and over again and not actually changing up and amending it. Because if you actually want to build a following, it's very easy to repeat, and then you lose potential for people to continue to want to hear you talk and ask questions and see what you have to say. So a little bit about building the relationship, but also giving myself an opportunity to interact with the audience in a different way, and a different platform.
Awesome. And I guess, one more question I've got, unless someone else has, but how did you market that? What did you do to get people there? And how?
Yeah, so it was predominantly, and so this is one of the things that I want to play around with to see different avenues. So I predominantly did online advertising with it. So I did a boosted Facebook post. I did a connection with the marketing on the Eventbrite side of things, and then predominantly a bit of word of mouth. So getting family and friends to reshare the links within their social medias and those sorts of things. And so then I did also just a shout out to some of my friends to say, can I have a couple of friendly faces just so that, you know, if all kind of goes pear-shaped, I at least know I've got a couple of people that I can prompt to ask me questions if need be. So I did a little bit of a targeted option that way. So I think next time I'd probably research some different avenues how to get that out, sort of connecting into more writing groups or more sort of general fantasy fiction areas and those sorts of things. So looking to see where I can broaden that marketing opportunity.
Awesome. Cool. That's wonderful. So any questions? Fred, you got a question? Yep.
Yeah. How long did the event last, and about how many people were attended, would you say?
So there was...
Or do you know?
Yeah. So it was about an hour and a half. So that was kind of... I had a sort of a little allowance of sort of 5-10 minutes at the start to allow for people to come in and be a little bit late and do the general open and use. So probably the actual presentation discussion was about an hour and 20, I'd say. But that seemed to be a good point in which there was a lot of questioning being answered and a lot of sort of opportunity for people to put their hands up and put their thoughts through. Sometimes questions would trigger other questions, but not so long that I was struggling to talk. So I'd probably say an hour to an hour and a half with those sorts of opportunities is probably a good baseline for most. In terms of the attendees, so I think that there was 11 attendees by the end of it. So that was probably, it was a good enough size that I was able to manage it.
Right.
But, you know, it's also the opportunity to have good discussion because different questions were prompting other people.
Yeah. And build.
Great, thanks.
That's awesome. Jan, well
Can
done.
I ask, what was your cap though? You had 11, but did you have a cap of more?
Oh yeah, I basically kept it open because I didn't know how much to sort of put it open. So I had it up to 100, but but basically that was just because I had to put a limit in there. So I would in future put a kind of probably a harder cap on that because it would have gotten a bit unwieldy if the group got too large. And I would have had to have been a lot stricter with the way I handled the questions. So I think I'd probably flex that number depending on the style of presentation and the style of questioning. So it was more of a Q&A process. So therefore, I think I'd probably say 15 to 20 would be a good balance within that as a max. But if I was doing more of a talk, then I can open that up because there's going to be less interruption and management within that space.
Yep.
Can I ask 2 more questions? What, oh, it's slipping now. What did you consider, like with all the technical side of Zoom, because I've got no tech knowledge, so to start the Zoom and create it and control it, did your sister do all that technical control and you could just talk, or did you do both and she was just on the side to help if you?
Yeah, she predominantly did that because it was going to be a little unwieldy for me. So so we were set up as co-hosts, so she and I could both interact as best as possible, but she could then, we talked about that a little bit in advance and we sort of played around with my background settings and sort of talked about what happens if someone's struggling a little bit. So I had my emails that I'd done all the communications through open and my Facebook and Eventbrite open so that I could interact and move between screens. And when I was doing that, she was controlling the actual screen itself. So we had a private chat running so that we could interact with each other.
Focus.
Yeah.
And was she in the same room or was she like...
No, she was in her home. So yeah, good few suburbs away. And so that was probably better because we did a practice run for ourselves just to make sure all the technicals are working on our end. So I have 3 computers in my office. I have my personal desktop, my work desktop, and my laptop. And so I had to test all 3 to work out which one was going to work and give me the settings available in Zoom that I wanted to use. So I ended up with my laptop because it's the most up-to-date computer. So that's something to be aware of, that the age of the computer can alter what settings that you can play around with. And so, yeah, so we did a dry run, but having her available. And so we also had our mobiles next to us. So if there was an issue with the chat, she could have sent me an SMS and we would be able to do that as well.
And what are the titles of your books or your last book? What's the title?
So the last book was The Stolen God Dawning. So it's a series that's all got, the first one's The Stolen God, the second one's Stolen God Powers Truth, and the third one's The Stolen God Dawning.
Wonderful. That's awesome, Jim. That's
Thanks.
great.
Did you record?
Great.
Okay. Well, I think we better keep moving. But Jem, well done. Congrats on your third book, and very, very sorry to hear about your mum. I know she's been sick for a while, but
yeah.
Can I just
never prepared.
ask one question?
Mm-hmm.
Gemma, did you record your Zoom session?
I didn't. That's the one thing that I do regret not doing. I hadn't thought about that. I saw, Andrew choosing to record this, and I'm like, oh, that would have been really useful. So that is something. So I'd already discussed it with my sister about doing another one in a couple months. So tweaking it a little bit and then running another one and probably presenting it a little differently, but just using that format that works well. And I'll definitely be looking to record those in future so that I've got a reference point. I can put it on my website or those sorts of things to link people and give that experience to them as well.
Yeah, I think it's a good habit to get into, just recording everything that you do on Zoom, because you never know. You never know when you might use it or what you might use or how you might use it. So it's always a good thing to do. Good morning, Jo. She slept in.
No, I didn't. Sorry, I had a client session and I've just finished it. So my apologies for being late. Hi, everyone.
No worries. Hey, how are you? Okay, let's hear from Fred, because Fred's got exciting stuff happening. How's it going, mate? You're not far away from holding your book in your hands. Tell us.
Well, actually, you're right. I got an email saying that they were ready to publish, and they're going to let me know, send me another, date, and I will be able to order the number that I need and for me to review them. And if I have any more corrections, then they'll make them. But after that, they can't make any corrections. So I'm just waiting for that process. So it's been a long journey, but the light is at the end of the tunnel. Very excited.
Mate. Oh, we're going to look forward to celebrating you when you've got your book. So that will be wonderful. But good on you, mate. Yeah. Assistance personified for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we have the title of your book?
The title of the book is For the Least of These.
So you froze there for a sec, Fred.
I had a phone call. I just stopped it. For the Least of These. It comes from the book of Matthew's 25th chapter. And Jesus is saying that I was hungry, you did not feed me. I needed water, you didn't give me any. I was in prison and you did not visit me. So I worked at a prison for 25 years, and my stories are related to that. But the second part of the book is based on the evangelical movement in our country, in the US, and their attitude toward different social issues. So, yeah.
So it's pretty full on, Fred, isn't it? He's shaking things up with his book.
Well, we shall see. We shall see.
No, I'm sure he will. Yeah. That's awesome, mate. Well done. That's so good. Good. Looking forward to seeing you hold that book in your hands. Kat, how are you going? You want to share where you're at?
Oh, where am I at? So it's been. I finished the draft a little while ago, and then the transition into the next stage has been a bit awkward in that because of the nature of the project, I need because I'm working with a partner, so he's got his pieces to do, which includes he'll do all the photos for elements of it. We also wanted to get a physics reviewer to go through some of it, and just how it is when you can control yourself, you can't control other people. So there's been a bit of a transition of reaching out to, hey, not pushing you, but also sup.
Hurry up.
Haven't heard from you in 2 months, sort of thing. So it's just been that kind of a transition of what do I do with my, it's not that there's nothing I can do, but it's also it was really quite easy when I finally got into the routine of every day I touched the book and I progressed it in some way. And then now it's to touch the book every day is very different right now. But I have been making more progress in that way, which is good. I break down what needed to happen into two kind of categories. So I've got like just a category of things that can get ticked off like now, and then a category that I can't tick off until something happens. And that way I can capture them all, but I can divide and conquer. So I don't feel like I have this huge weight sitting on top of me. And then I haven't had a chance to read it, but I saw that the person that we're asking to do the physics review has responded to me today. And in the snippet, it said something about just finishing a multi-1,000-kilometer motorcycle journey. So I guess they're back now. So yay, I'm hoping that'll go forward, because they'd be a wonderful asset there. So I think it was like a little cocoony hiatus-y moment, and now like we're getting ready to move forward. So and then I'm just kind of trying to work out in the transition now, like eventually it'll get out of my hands until it's ready to pursue publishers, and trying to decide if I want to try to start another project in the meantime, or not sure. Also starting to look at the publishing thing, and it seems the list of publishers that say not taking unsolicited applications is enormous. So that's a little discouraging. It's also a more niche thing. So also trying to find a publisher feels like I have my top 3, and then I don't, beyond that, I just don't know. It's a weirder space, unfortunately. So not looking forward to that part of the journey. I know, Andrew, you said it's exciting, but I personally like
Hey, this is the blog I'm about to post this week is called Move the Fulcrum, and it's all about just trying to look at it from a different perspective. Just shifting it a little bit. Okay, it's just fun. Every manuscript you put out there, is going to land somewhere.
I guess it's funny. It's like I'm not worried about. I'll take it to like a job application. When you apply for jobs, you know that you may not get that job, and like that's just the nature of the beast. What I get frustrated about is when I find out of the fact that job application wasn't real, because they actually already had an internal candidate, but the policy says that they have to open it up, and it's like, waste my time 99, like string of curse words. Like that is where I get annoyed. And I think right now what I'm seeing with some of the publishing things is like, well, you can go through this process, but we basically like don't, I'm just like, all right, I would rather just have a hard no at the beginning. Like we're not even gonna look at it, because it's not the rejections I'm like worried about. It's just the utter time wastiness of what I'm kind of getting a vibe of. And I realize that's a negative perspective on it, but it is very much what I'm seeing right now. In this kind of like, you can submit, but I'm like, well, so I don't know.
Submit it anyway. You'll get there. You will get there, Kat, and when you do, we will be celebrating with you for sure. Just again, it's just hang in there. I mean, yes. Fred, tell us how long you've been writing this book for?
Well, I guess I started about 5 years ago. Actually, I started when I was working at the prison. 40 years ago, maybe. I don't know.
There you go. Don't take 40 years, all right?
Yeah, I would think about things when I was there. I started to make a good story. And so I kind of started thinking about different situations that would be interesting. And then I didn't really do anything until I retired. While I was working, though, I ran to somebody that I used to work with on a previous job. And she goes, Fred, what are you doing now? I haven't seen you lately. I told her I'm working at this prison. And we started talking about it. And she said, you should write a book, because that's really interesting. So I kind of thought that, put that in the back of my mind. And then after I retired, I met Andrew, and we kind of talked a little bit, and I started working. Then the pandemic hit, and I really kicked it in overdrive. And so you have to really make an effort, though. I mean, that's what I was not consistent with in my efforts. I had to do it every day, and that's what it started to come together. So it's not fair to say it took me 40 years. I say maybe it took me 5 years.
No, not at all.
How's that?
Not at all. So it just takes time. Jem, when did you start writing?
I think it was maybe 2015. And once we started working together, it took me 6 months to write my first book. Then took me probably about a year to do book 2, and then it's taken me a couple years to do book 3. Just the book was a bit longer for book 3, but you know, life changes, and so you find your own rhythms within that space as well. But yeah, I think but you know, I tried starting over, you know, good, you know, 10 or so years prior to that, but I'd never actually gotten to it. So it was just a matter of, once I made that decision, yeah, you kind of keep moving at it at that point.
Yep. So the bottom line is it takes time. You know, it's just going to take time. You know, we want to try and fast track it, don't we, in this microwave society? But to do something well, to do it properly, you know, it's going to take some time. But Kat, keep going. We all have incredible faith in you for sure. Now, Paula, we haven't heard from you yet. So, hi, Cherie. We haven't said hello to you. We'll catch up with you shortly.
Hi. Yeah, I'm just plodding along. Our little book, which is an anthology. I'll just get it up and show you. We've got the photo. It's going to be published. I've got a poem in there and a short story, a children's. It's called It's a Kind of Magic. That's the cover of the book, if you can see it. And that we're going to I think there are 20 people who have put in, that have got stories or poems in it. And yeah, the launch is on the 30th of October. And I'm continuing on the memoir, which I'm on to day 30. So I'm really trying to stick to that 30 by 63. But I've been away, and if I couldn't write in the memoir, I'd just write a poem, or I'd do something to do with writing, so I didn't break my 63 days.
Good.
And so that's progressing slowly, quite slowly, but it's moving, the fulcrum. And the other thing is I'm in a play, which is a one-act play by Tom Stoppard. He's a famous British screenwriter, film and stage, radio writer, television writer. He's Czech-born and lives in England. And his themes are mainly censorship, human rights, and political freedom. And it's an interesting play. So I'm a nurse in it. And so a lot of my time's consumed. It's not a big role, but it's a role. So I like honing the skills, the acting skills. So that's going to open in October. And besides that, yeah, I'm, you know, just continuing, you know, other workshops that I attend to do with writing. And yeah, dealing with what's on the plate at the moment. So yeah, just constantly getting organised, but everything's progressing a little bit, which is good, you know, in each area. So that's it for me.
Thanks, Paula. Thank you for the update. And again, just keep going, keep hanging in there. That's seems to be the message. Well, I think we've spoken to everyone except Joe and Cherie. So, Joe, do you want to give us an update? You don't have to if you don't want to, but I thought if we're all sort of sharing.
And it's
You're on mute.
it's all right talking to myself. So yeah, there's no update on the writing side of things. It's been an absolute sort of just plateau on that while I dealt with everything else. So a lot of even stuff that was more than last time I told you, Andrew. So yeah, I've had more really big stuff come up. I don't know that we share personal stuff in this venue. So
Oh, look, I don't think we need to go too deep into
I don't think we need to go into that. So yeah, so anyway, thanks, Kat.
Yeah, you've got lots of love and support here. So just
yeah, no, I love this group. So I was very happy it was on this morning, but hopefully one day I'll have something to report. One day soon.
Well, I mean, one day.
One day soon. One day
you
soon.
will definitely have something to report. Awesome. Thanks, Joe. Cherie.
Hey there, how is everyone? Everyone looks good. I love to hear all the stories and meet everybody. I always miss this. I was late because I completely forgot about this, and I was excited because I'm looking at a job as a book coach now, and just working my way through the interview process. But it's kind of exciting, and I think it's what I really want to do. Writing wise, I'm finishing the edit on a mid-grade sci-fi adventure that I started about 5 years ago. A story I actually started telling 30 years ago, but I actually wrote 5 years ago. And I'm just getting through the editing process, and then that will get published one way or another, self-published or traditional. I'm querying it right now. And I love the editing process. That might sound weird, but I really do. I love to edit because I still love my story. And as I'm doing it, I'm thinking of the next one in the series as well. So, I just always think about that, Andrew. I always think about your thoughts, emotions, actions, results, and success. And that one more each day, I still do that. I still think each day I say to myself, what one more thing can I do? It has been amazing. The results are incredible. Just one more thing. And I have two boxes. One is the negative, the other is positive. And I promised myself I'm never going to pick from that box again. And ever since that decision has been mental and decisive, great things happen, wonderful things. So yeah, it's been fun to watch. Yeah. And hopefully more will come for everyone. Yeah. So thanks for your book and your encouragement.
Pleasure. Thank you for everything you share. It's amazing. I mean, every month you give us a little hint. That's a great one. That's a really good one. And just one more thing, just one more. What one more tiny little thing could you do? One more word, one more phone call, one more email, one more encouraging note, or one more lap of the block, one more whatever, one more. I think it's a wonderful concept, and there is that incredible compound effect of one more and the ripple effect as well. So,
If I can just say something on that, Andrew, with the stuff that I've been dealing with, it's some of it's been like a lifelong challenge. It's just sort of like, I hate dealing with financial stuff, for instance. That's one thing I'm dealing with. So it's been a challenge my entire life. And then it was like, I'm old now. It's like I've got to pull my big girl panties up and deal with this. And I've actually had to do something finance related almost every day for about 3.5 months, which has just been like mind-blowing for me to even contemplate what I've been doing. And it's paying off. It's not that I'm out there trying to make money, but it's sort of like at the moment, for instance, I have to get a new car because mine's dying. And I got told you're an A. And I went, what the hell's an A? And he said, well, let me put it this way. He said, most of our clients are Bs and we don't deal with Es. And I went, oh, okay, good to know. So it's sort of like when you deal with something that's been a challenge and you just keep doing it, the keep doing it every day thing that you promote, Andrew, it just works. And it's so rewarding on an internal level when you can meet something that's a challenge and deal with it. I just wish I'd done it decades ago. So for all of you who are younger, there's a few of you out there, don't wait till you're my age. So yeah, thank you.
Advice. That's good advice, Joe. Thanks for that. And it's so true, isn't it? Just that one, if you try and do it in too big bites, you're just not even going to start. But any massive task can be broken down to simple steps, and it's those simple steps that you do every day. So, Kat.
I just read something called the monk mode technique, and you just reminded me about it, Joe, and it's half brewing in my mind, but I think that might be the intersection. So the monk mode technique is apparently the idea that, like, it's in comparison to resolutions, which we all know scientifically they just don't work. It's like starting on Gen 1 and saying I'm never going to eat a piece of chocolate again. It's like as soon as you eat that one piece of chocolate, because of the dichotomy of saying never, it's over, so you might as well just eat the whole block, sort of thing. And so the monk mode idea is like a commitment. It's supposed to be a two-part commitment of like something cleansing and basically something subtractive and something additive. So you're getting rid of one thing and you're adding one thing, but it's supposed to be quite time bound. So it's like 1 week, and it's in 1 week I will go to the gym 3 times and I will not eat chocolate. I will not eat more than 1 square of chocolate a day or whatever it is. So it's like this really, like, it's really small. So it's hyper achievable, and because it's time bound as well. It's like mentally we're supposedly like it's easier to get to. But I think there's something potentially additive about like the kind of, it's like, it would be an interesting experiment to do that as a kickoff of like the 63-day challenge or whatever, if you know what I mean, because it's like, I think even that can sometimes seem a bit daunting. And I think I've been thinking about it with where I'm at right now, because, you know, it took me whatever it was, I can't remember, 600 something days of touching the book every day to get to the end of the draft. But then the end of the draft happened and I was like, wait, I don't know what to do. So I'm like, I think these monk mode mentality to what you're saying, Joe, might work for me in this next stage. Is like, for this next period of X, I'm going to X and not Y or something like that. So I obviously have not fully formed it, or the sentences would make a lot more sense. But yeah, anyway, you just sort of added a little layer of clarity for me to that, Joe. It's like that maybe I'm thinking about things a little bit too big at the moment, and I can actually take some of those tasks and hunk them into the monk mode chunks, because maybe that's the right tool for me right now, as opposed to like a daily or a 63-day challenge. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome. Can I just add to that, perhaps, that you were saying before about being put off by these publishers who won't give you the hard no at the beginning?
Yeah.
The distress from that comes from how you're thinking about it. So it's sort of like, think about the thoughts that are working for you, think about the beliefs that are working for you, and those that aren't. See if you can put them aside. Easier said than done, but that's the challenge for all of us.
Then everyone in the world
I know.
healthy, wealthy.
It's the highway out of depression, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I have this
just be better.
multiple times a week.
Yeah,
you need
no,
cool. Little strategies. You need little, you know, I think.
Yeah. And that's why these strategies, like you're saying, like you could just set yourself 5 days or 7 days or something.
Yeah.
And you just keep going.
One day, today.
Can I say something to that? It reminds me a little bit of habit stacking. Once you've got one habit moving, you stack another one onto it to, you know, so you might exercise every day and you want to get meditation into that as well. So you start adding that, even if it's just a little bit, like for 5 minutes after you've exercised or before, and then that grows. And then you might add a little. Yeah, I like that habit stacking idea. I find it, because the first one becomes automatic eventually, and then they can become automatic eventually.
Yeah, these are great little suggestions, aren't they? Anyone else want to share as we come towards the end of another forum? It's been pretty powerful.
Can I say thank you, Andrew, for allowing the forum and creating it, because it's always like, oh, I don't know if I can go this time, but when you go, you know, you always get something from it.
Yeah,
it's just great. And I just want to say thank you for creating this space for it, and, you know, inviting us to come as we are and as we need to.
Awesome.
So thank you.
You're welcome, and thanks for being here, Paul, and contributing. So, I mean, the forum it's not me. I mean, as you said, I've just created the space, but the forum's you guys. It's not me. You know, I'm just sitting here learning and listening and being inspired, which I love. I love. You know, I'll probably get more out of this than you guys. So, but now, having said that, and after that beautiful wrap and how much you enjoy the forum, there won't be one in October. I'm going to have to give it a miss, because some of you might know I've just bought a new home, and I've got 30-day settlement, and I've got to be out of here. You know, it'll settle in October, then I've got to move in October, and then I've got to get this rental place ready. So apologies, but the next one will be in November. So sorry, but you can connect with each other, you know, share, you know, most of you can jump on the Facebook page, you can connect with each other, and, you know, but the Facebook page has been a little bit quiet of late. So I would encourage you to get more active on the Facebook page and start sharing some stuff, and because I think that's a really positive place to go to as well. But it's been wonderful to see you all. Gemma, particularly to see you, because it's been so long. See that face of yours. Let me know if you would like to recommence catching up on a semi-regular basis. Thanks, Joe.
Okay.
But everyone else, great to see you all, and I'll see you on a forum in a couple of months. Although there is another one on Monday evening, my time, so that's not so good for the Americans, but for you Aussies, you're more than welcome. That'll be 8 p.m. on Monday. That's Australian Eastern Standard Time. And after that, the next one will be on the 5th of November, 5th and then the 8th or the 4th for the Americans.
Andrew, is the Zoom room for the Monday one the same as this Zoom room?
Same, exactly.
Yes, cool.
Yep. Same Zoom room. So thanks, everyone. Wonderful to see you all. Thanks for being such a positive and powerful and wonderful start to my weekend. You've got me excited. So thank you, everyone, and keep hanging in there and just keep one day. Just remember, the power's in today. Yeah, the power's now. The power's not next week, next month, in 63 days. That's not where the power is. The power is right here. You have it right now. So if you're feeling inspired and you would normally put off doing something, do it now. Don't get up from your seat right now. Do your writing, do your phone calling. Do it now before you get into your Saturday. And then be proud of yourself and then go and enjoy your wonderful weekend. But have a beautiful, beautiful weekend, and we'll see you soon.